The shove came from nowhere, sending Vivian Reeves stumbling into a brick wall as laughter erupted behind her. It wasn't how she'd planned to end her evening walk through downtown Portland, cornered by three men whose alcohol-fueled confidence had transformed into something uglier as twilight settled over the city. "Nice purse," one of them slurred, eyeing the small leather bag hanging from her shoulder. "Designer, right? Bet there's something good inside." Vivian straightened her posture, her 5'4" frame suddenly feeling much smaller. Despite running a multi-million-dollar tech company, she'd never mastered the art of physical intimidation. "I'm not looking for trouble." "Neither are we, sweetheart, just sharing the sidewalk," another man said, stepping closer. The third man, taller than the others with a patchy beard, reached for her arm. "Maybe we can, hey," a deep voice cut through the tension, "back off." The interruption came from a man holding the hand of a young girl who couldn't be more than 7 years old. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair, and the kind of face that suggested he'd weathered more than his fair share of life's storms. His jeans were worn at the knees, his jacket faded, but there was nothing faded about the intensity in his eyes. "Mind your business, man," the bearded harasser responded, but his confidence wavered. "My daughter and I are trying to walk home, and you're blocking the sidewalk while harassing a woman. That makes it my business." He moved his daughter slightly behind him. "Come on, guys, not tonight." Something in his tone, authoritative but not aggressive, made the men reassess their options. After a tense moment, they backed away with muttered curses and disappeared around the corner. The man turned to Vivian. "You all right?" she nodded, trying to slow her racing heart. "Yes, thank you, that was unexpected. Unfortunately not that unexpected in this neighborhood after dark." He smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling. "I'm Isaac Fletcher. This is my daughter, Lily." The little girl peeked around her father's leg, her dark curls bouncing as she offered a tentative wave. "I'm Vivian Reeves. Thank you again, Isaac. I should have been more aware of my surroundings." "Daddy helps people a lot," Lily announced proudly. "He's super brave." Isaac laughed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Not super brave, just allergic to jerks." He glanced at his watch. "We should get going, it's past someone's bedtime." "I'm not tired," Lily protested with a yawn that completely undermined her claim. Vivian smiled. "I should get going too." She reached into her purse. "Please let me." Isaac's expression immediately closed off. "No, that's not necessary. Have a good night, Miss Reeves." He took Lily's hand again and started to walk away. "Wait," Vivian called. "At least let me buy you both coffee sometime, or hot chocolate," she added, nodding toward Lily. "As a thank you." Isaac hesitated, then pulled out his phone. "All right. Put your number in, and maybe we can meet up sometime." She quickly entered her information, noting how carefully he handled his phone like someone who couldn't afford to replace it if dropped. "Good night, Vivian," he said, pocketing the device. "Be safe getting home." "Good night, Vivian." Lily echoed, waving enthusiastically. As they walked away, Vivian heard the little girl ask, "Daddy, can I really have hot chocolate if we see her again?" "We'll see, sweetheart," came his measured response. "We'll see." Vivian watched them disappear into the night, the tall man and the tiny girl, their silhouettes illuminated by streetlights. It wasn't until they were completely out of sight that she realized she'd been smiling. "The unicorn needs more sprinkles," Lily declared, her tongue poking out of the corner of her mouth as she concentrated on her drawing. "Pink ones." Isaac Fletcher sat across from his daughter at their small kitchen table, nursing a cup of coffee that had gone cold 20 minutes ago. The apartment was modest one-bedroom that Lily occupied while Isaac slept on the pull-out couch, a bathroom with perpetually temperamental plumbing, and this kitchen with its peeling linoleum floor. It wasn't much, but it was home. "More sprinkles it is," he agreed, sliding a pink crayon her way. "But finish up soon. Miss Patty will be here in 30 minutes and you still need to brush your teeth." Lily nodded absently, her attention fixed on her masterpiece. At 7, she was the center of Isaac's world, had been since her mother walked out when she was just 2, claiming parenthood wasn't what she'd signed up for. The divorce had been quick, the child support payments even quicker to stop coming. Isaac's phone chimed with a text notification, pulling him from his thoughts. The number wasn't saved in his contacts, but the message was clear. Still interested in that coffee/hot chocolate? I'm free tomorrow afternoon. Vivian, the woman you rescued, he smiled despite himself. 3 days had passed since their encounter downtown, and he'd assumed she'd forgotten about her offer. He wasn't sure why he'd given her his number in the first place. Women like Vivian, with their designer clothes and perfect hair, weren't typically part of his world. "Who's that, Daddy?" Lily asked, peering across the table. "Just a friend," he replied, setting the phone down. "Someone I met the other night. The pretty lady with the shiny shoes." Isaac laughed. "Leave it to Lily to notice footwear." "Yes, that's the one. Are we going to have hot chocolate with her?" He hesitated. His budget was tight this month, tighter than usual after having to replace the water heater in the apartment. The overtime at the construction site had helped, but with Lily's after-school program fees increasing and the constant growth spurts requiring new clothes, there wasn't much left for social outings. But the hope in Lily's eyes was impossible to resist. "Maybe," he said, typing a quick response. "Tomorrow works. Lily has school until 3, coffee shop on Burnside after that." The response came almost immediately. "Perfect. My treat. See you both then." The next day, Isaac found himself standing outside Bridgetown Brew, a coffee shop that was decidedly more upscale than his usual haunts. Lily bounced excitedly beside him, wearing the sweater she insisted was her fanciest and clutching a new drawing she'd made specially for Vivian. "Do you think she'll like my picture, Daddy?" "She'll love it, Lily Bug," he assured her, though anxiety gnawed at his stomach. He'd changed his shirt twice before leaving home, something he hadn't done for any meeting in years. Through the window, he spotted Vivian at a corner table, typing rapidly on a sleek laptop. Today, her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore a casual sweater rather than the business attire she'd had on when they met. The change made her look younger, more approachable, but no less striking. "There she is," Lily exclaimed, pushing open the door before Isaac could prepare himself. Vivian looked up at the commotion, her face breaking into a genuine smile when she saw them. She closed her laptop and stood to greet them. "You came," she said, as if she'd been half expecting them to cancel. "We promised hot chocolate," Isaac replied with a shrug, trying for casual despite the strange flutter in his chest. "And Lily never forgets a promise involving chocolate." "A girl after my own heart," Vivian laughed. "Please sit down, I was just finishing up some work." As they settled into their seats, a barista approached their table. "The usual, Miss Reeves?" "Yes, please, Mark, and whatever my friends would like." Isaac ordered a black coffee, while Lily carefully deliberated before choosing a hot chocolate with extra whipped cream. Once the barista left, Lily thrust her drawing across the table. "I made this for you," she announced. "It's a unicorn with magic powers." Vivian accepted the paper with exaggerated reverence. "This is beautiful, Lily. Look at all the details. I think this might be the best unicorn I've ever seen." Lily beamed. "I used all the pink crayons. I can tell pink is my favorite color." "Mine too." Isaac watched their interaction with curiosity. Vivian didn't speak to Lily with the condescending tone many adults adopted with children. Instead, she engaged with her as if her opinions were valuable, asking questions about her drawing and listening intently to the elaborate backstory of the magical unicorn. Their drinks arrived, and the conversation flowed easily. Isaac learned that Vivian had grown up in Portland, loved Thai food, and had a terrible singing voice despite years of childhood lessons. She didn't mention her job beyond saying she worked with computers, and Isaac didn't press. For her part, Vivian seemed genuinely interested in his work in construction, asking thoughtful questions about the downtown renovation project his crew was currently handling. An hour passed in what felt like minutes. Lily, having finished her hot chocolate and exhausted her unicorn stories, had pulled out the coloring book Isaac always kept in his bag. "So," Vivian said, lowering her voice slightly, "how long has it been just you and Lily?" 5 years, Isaac replied. Her mom decided parenting wasn't for her when Lily was 2. That must have been challenging. It was, still is sometimes, but we make it work, he gestured to Lily. She's worth every sleepless night and missed opportunity. Vivian's eyes softened. She's lucky to have you. I'm the lucky one. He hesitated before adding, "What about you? Any kids?" "No," she said with a small shake of her head. "I always thought I'd have time for that later, and then suddenly I was 35 and married to my career instead. Do you regret it?" She considered the question carefully. "I regret the reason behind it. I was so focused on proving myself, on being successful enough that no one could ever take it away from me. I forgot to build a life outside of that goal." There was a vulnerability in her admission that made Isaac want to know more about the story behind her words, but before he could ask, his phone rang. The school nurse's number flashed on the screen. "I need to take this," he said, stepping away from the table. The brief conversation confirmed what he'd feared: a stomach bug was making its way through Lily's class, and she needed to be picked up. "Everything okay?" Vivian asked when he returned. "One of Lily's classmates got sick. I need to go pick her up." He started gathering their things. "I'm sorry to cut this short." "No apology needed," Vivian assured him. "Family comes first. Thank you for understanding, and for the coffee, and for being rescued," she supplied with a teasing smile. He laughed. "I was going to say for the company, but yes, that too." "We should do it again sometime," she suggested, "without a school emergency." Isaac hesitated, then nodded. "I'd like that." As he helped Lily pack up her crayons, Vivian slipped her business card into his hand. "My personal number is on the back. Text me anytime." He glanced at the card, reading Vivian Reeves, CEO, Nexus Technologies, before tucking it into his pocket. "A CEO, of course. Goodbye, Vivian," Lily called as they left. "I'll make you another unicorn next time." "I'll look forward to it," Vivian replied, her eyes meeting Isaac's with a warmth that lingered long after they'd parted ways. The next few weeks saw a surprising development in Isaac's life: regular text messages from Vivian. What began as casual check-ins evolved into daily conversations about everything and nothing. She sent him funny memes during his lunch breaks. He responded with photos of Lily's latest art projects. They compared notes on Netflix shows, debated the best pizza toppings, and shared stories from their days. Isaac learned that Vivian had started her tech company from her apartment 7 years ago, growing it into a multi-million-dollar business that specialized in security software. She worked long hours and traveled frequently, but found time to volunteer teaching coding to underprivileged kids on weekends. For her part, Vivian discovered that Isaac had been halfway through an engineering degree when Lily was born, forcing him to drop out and take construction work to support his new family. Despite the challenges of single parenthood, he'd maintained his passion for design, sketching building improvements in a notebook he kept by his bed. They met for coffee again, then for a walk in the park with Lily, and finally for dinner after Isaac arranged for Miss Patty to babysit. With each meeting, the connection between them deepened, though neither acknowledged the growing attraction aloud. It was during their 4th coffee date that Vivian received a call that changed everything. Isaac watched as her expression transformed from relaxed to tense, her posture straightening as she spoke in clipped, professional tones. "I understand. Yes, I'll be there within the hour. Have the team ready." She ended the call with an apologetic look. "I'm sorry, Isaac. There's an emergency at work, a potential security breach." "Go," he said, waving away her apology. "Do what you need to do." She hesitated. "There's a company event this weekend, a fundraiser for our educational foundation. Would you like to come as my guest?" The invitation caught him off guard. "I'm not sure I'd fit in with the tech crowd, Vivian. You'd be with me. That's all that matters." She gathered her things quickly. "Think about it. It's Saturday at 7 at the Riverside Hotel downtown." After she left, Isaac sat alone, contemplating the invitation. The Riverside was one of Portland's most exclusive venues. He'd helped renovate parts of it last year, entering through the service entrance in work boots covered in drywall dust. The idea of walking through the front door as a guest was almost laughable, but the thought of seeing Vivian again in her element was too tempting to resist. Saturday arrived with a flurry of activity. Isaac had called in a favor from a coworker whose wife worked at a men's clothing store, securing a borrowed suit that actually fit his broad-shouldered frame. Lily was spending the night with her best friend Emma, thrilled at the prospect of a sleepover. "You look handsome, Daddy," Lily had declared before he dropped her off, helping him straighten his tie with solemn concentration. Now, standing outside the riverside's gleaming entrance, Isaac fought the urge to turn around. Through the glass doors, he could see men in tailored suits and women in elegant dresses, all radiating the easy confidence of people accustomed to wealth. Taking a deep breath, he entered, giving Vivian's name to the hostess who checked the guest list. "Mr. Fletcher, welcome," she said with a professional smile. "Miss Reeves is already inside. The ballroom is straight ahead." The opulent space was filled with Portland's elite tech entrepreneurs, investors, and corporate executives mingling under crystal chandeliers. Isaac scanned the crowd, feeling increasingly out of place until he spotted Vivian across the room. She wore a deep blue dress that highlighted the curves of her body, her dark hair cascading over one shoulder. She was speaking animatedly to an older man, her hands gesturing as she made some point. Even from a distance, her presence commanded attention. As if sensing his gaze, she looked up, her eyes finding his immediately. A smile spread across her face, not the polished, professional one she'd been wearing a moment ago, but something warmer, more genuine. She excused herself from her conversation and made her way toward him. "You came," she said, echoing his words from their first coffee date. "I promised I would," he replied, trying not to stare at how beautiful she looked. "And I never forget a promise." She took his arm, guiding him deeper into the room. "Let me introduce you to a few people." The next hour was a whirlwind of handshakes and conversations. Isaac met software developers, marketing executives, and venture capitalists, all of whom treated him with respect when introduced as "my friend Isaac" by Vivian. If they were curious about his connection to their world, they didn't show it. "So how do you know our Vivian?" One woman eventually asked as they stood near the bar. Before Isaac could formulate a response, Vivian interjected smoothly. "Isaac saved me from some unsavory characters downtown a few weeks ago. Very heroic." "Hardly heroic," he demurred. "Just basic human decency." "Which is increasingly rare these days," the woman commented. "And what do you do, Isaac?" He hesitated only briefly. "I work in construction, currently overseeing the Johnson building renovation downtown." If the woman was surprised, she didn't show it. "Fascinating." "My husband's firm is handling the legal aspects of that project." Small world. The conversation shifted to city development, a topic Isaac could discuss comfortably. As they talked, he noticed Vivian watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read, something like pride mixed with another emotion he dared not name. Later, as the formal dinner portion of the evening began, Vivian leaned close to him at their table. "You're a natural at this. Everyone loves you." "I'm just talking about what I know," he said, "but thank you for making me feel welcome. This isn't exactly my usual Saturday night." "What is your usual Saturday night?" he laughed. "Pizza with Lily while watching Disney movies, then falling asleep on the couch by 9. "That sounds perfect," she said with surprising sincerity. After dinner came dancing, the live band playing a mix of classics and contemporary songs. Isaac hesitated when Vivian stood and extended her hand toward him. "I'm not much of a dancer," he admitted. "Neither am I," she confessed. "But I'd like to try. With you." He couldn't resist that invitation. Taking her hand, he led her to the dance floor, where he placed one hand respectfully on her waist while holding her other hand. They moved together to the slow rhythm, finding an easy synchronicity despite their claimed lack of dancing skills. "Thank you for coming tonight," Vivian said softly, her eyes meeting his. "I know this isn't your scene." "I wanted to see you," he replied honestly. "The fancy party is just a bonus." She laughed, the sound warming him from within. "Most people come for the open bar and networking opportunities. You might be the first person who came just for me." "Their loss," he murmured, drawing her slightly closer as the music slowed further. They danced in comfortable silence for a while, the space between them diminishing with each song until her head rested against his chest. It felt right having her in his arms, as if she belonged there. The spell was broken when a man in an expensive suit approached them, tapping Vivian's shoulder. Sorry to interrupt, but Senator Williams is asking for you, something about the educational initiative. Vivian sighed, reluctantly pulling away from Isaac. Duty calls, I'll be right back. As she walked away with the man, Isaac made his way to the terrace for some fresh air. The night air was cool, the city lights spread out below like a reflection of the stars above. He was still processing the evening, the wealth on display, the casual discussions of million-dollar deals, and most importantly, the feeling of Vivian in his arms. She's quite something, isn't she? Isaac turned to find an elderly man standing beside him, leaning on an ornate cane. Excuse me, Vivian, the man clarified. Brilliant mind, built her company from nothing to a valuation of over $200 million in less than a decade. He extended his hand. Thomas Hamilton. I was one of her first investors. Isaac shook the offered hand. Isaac Fletcher, the construction manager. News travels fast at these events. Thomas smiled. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? Another tech entrepreneur, perhaps? Or at least someone from her social circle. The older man studied him with shrewd eyes. But I can see why she's drawn to you. You remind me of her father, solid, dependable. A man who builds things that last. Before Isaac could respond, Thomas continued. She's worked incredibly hard to get where she is, sacrificed a lot. It's good to see her actually enjoying herself with someone. We're just friends, Isaac said automatically, though the words felt hollow even to his own ears. Thomas's knowing smile suggested he didn't believe that for a second. Of course. Well, friend, just remember that behind the CEO title is a woman who wants the same things most people want: connection, understanding, someone who sees her for who she is, not what she's built. With that cryptic advice, Thomas excused himself, leaving Isaac alone with his thoughts. When Vivian finally returned, her professional mask had slipped back into place. I'm so sorry about that. Sometimes I can't escape work even at these events. It's all right, I understand. She searched his face. Do you? Most men don't. They say they do, but then they resent the late nights, the travel, the constant interruptions. Vivian, he said gently, I'm a single father who works 60-hour weeks to provide for his daughter. I understand obligations and responsibilities. Something in her expression softened. Would you like to get out of here? There's a place nearby with amazing desserts and absolutely no tech industry people. 30 minutes later, they were sitting in a small, dimly lit dessert cafe, sharing a ridiculous chocolate concoction topped with edible gold leaf. This is the most expensive thing I've ever eaten, Isaac joked, taking another bite. Is it worth it? Vivian asked. He considered the question. The dessert, it's good but probably not worth the price tag. The company, though, absolutely priceless. Her cheeks flushed at the compliment. Smooth talker. Not usually, he admitted, but you bring it out in me. A comfortable silence fell between them as they continued sharing the dessert. Finally, Vivian set down her fork and took a deep breath. Isaac, there's something I need to tell you, his heart stuttered. That sounds ominous. It's not. At least I hope it's not. She fidgeted with her napkin. I think I'm falling for you. The simple confession hung in the air between them. I know it's complicated, she continued when he didn't immediately respond. I'm a workaholic CEO with trust issues, and you're a devoted single dad with a completely different life. But these past few weeks, getting to know you and Lily, it's been the happiest I've been in years. Isaac reached across the table and took her hand. Vivian, I fell for you somewhere between that first hot chocolate with Lily and our text debates about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. Relief washed over her face. Really, but you're right, it's complicated. Our worlds are very different. Do they have to be? She asked. Different doesn't mean incompatible, he squeezed her hand. No, it doesn't, but I need you to understand something. I can't and won't be kept by anyone. I pay my own way, I support my daughter. That's non-negotiable. I would never ask you to be anything other than who you are, Vivian said earnestly. That's who I'm falling for, the man who stands on his own 2 feet, who puts his daughter first, who sees me as just Vivian, not as a CEO or a bank account. Her words eased a tension he hadn't realized he was carrying. In that case, Vivian Reeves, I'd like to take you on a proper date, my treat. Nothing fancy, probably nowhere near as nice as tonight, but something real, just us. Her smile lit up her entire face. I'd love that. The weeks that followed were a careful dance of integration. Isaac and Vivian continued to see each other, finding pockets of time between his work schedule and her business commitments. She joined them for pizza and movie nights, bringing along board games that had Lily giggling uncontrollably. He supported her through a stressful product launch, bringing homemade meals to her office when she worked late. Lily, for her part, was enchanted by Vivian. "She knows about computers and unicorns, Daddy," she declared after Vivian helped her create a digital drawing of her favorite magical creature. Their worlds began to blend in unexpected ways. Isaac found himself attending a few more business functions as Vivian's guest, while she enthusiastically joined Lily's school science fair wearing jeans and a t-shirt, helping judge baking soda volcanoes with serious consideration. It wasn't always smooth sailing. Their first argument came when Vivian offered to pay for Lily to attend an expensive summer coding camp. "She has a natural aptitude for it, Isaac," Vivian had insisted. "This could open doors for her future." "I appreciate that, but I can't afford it right now," he'd responded, his pride prickling. "Maybe next year, but I can easily no," he'd cut her off firmly. "I'm her father, it's my responsibility." The tension had lingered until Vivian proposed a compromise. She would create a scholarship program through her company's foundation, with Lily as one of several recipients based on merit. It was a solution that respected his boundaries while still giving Lily an opportunity she deserved. As summer turned to fall, their relationship deepened. Vivian began keeping clothes at Isaac's apartment for the nights she stayed over, carefully waiting until Lily was asleep before slipping into his room. Isaac found space in his routine for early morning coffee with Vivian before she headed to her office, treasuring those quiet moments together. It was during one such morning, nearly 6 months after their first meeting, that Vivian brought up something unexpected. "My lease is ending next month," she said casually, stirring her coffee. "I'm not sure if I want to renew." Isaac glanced up from the newspaper. "Are you thinking of buying a place? Maybe," she hesitated. "Or maybe, moving in with someone I love." The word hung in the air between them. It wasn't the first time it had been spoken. They'd exchanged "I love yous" months ago, but this was different. This was a step toward permanence. "That's a big decision," he said carefully, "for all of us, including Lily. I know, and I wouldn't suggest it if I hadn't thought it through." She reached for his hand. "I love you both. Being with you has shown me what really matters in life, and it's not my corner office or company valuation. It's this morning's together, family dinners, helping with homework, creating a home. Our apartment is tiny compared to what you're used to," he pointed out. "So we find a new place," she suggested. "Something that works for all of us. I'm not asking to move into your space and change everything. I'm asking if we can build something new together." Isaac thought about the small velvet box hidden in his sock drawer, the ring he'd been saving for, putting aside a little money each paycheck until he could afford something worthy of her, modest though it might be compared to what she could buy herself. "I need to talk to Lily first," he said finally. "This affects her life too." Vivian nodded. "Of course, family comes first, always." That evening, after Vivian had gone home, Isaac sat down with his daughter to have an important conversation. They were building a Lego castle together, a weekend project that had spilled into the week. "Lily Bug, I need to ask you something," he began, helping her attach a tower piece. "Is it about the cookie I took from the jar?" "Because I was really hungry, and no, it's not about cookies," he laughed. "It's about Vivian." Lily looked up, interested. "What about her? How would you feel if she spent more time with us? Like if she lived with us?" His daughter considered this with adorable seriousness. "Would she bring her computers? Probably some of them, yes. And could she help me with my math homework? You're not very good at fractions, Daddy," he chuckled. "Yes, she could help with homework. Would she make us eat vegetables all the time? I already make you eat vegetables." Lily wrinkled her nose. "Yeah, but you let me have dessert after. Would that change?" "Nothing important would change, Lily. We'd still be us, just with Vivian as part of our family." The word family caught her attention. "Like forever," Isaac nodded. "I hope so. I love her very much." "Like you loved Mommy?" The question was innocent but piercing. "Different from how I loved Mommy. Every love is different," Lily nodded, processing this. I love Vivian too. She listens to me and doesn't talk like I'm a baby, and she makes you smile a lot. She fitted another Lego piece into place. If she lives with us, can I still have my own room? Absolutely. Then I think it's a good idea. She looked up with sudden enthusiasm. Can we get a bigger place, with a yard? Emma has a yard and she has a swing set. Isaac smiled, relieved by her acceptance and amused by her quick pivot to negotiation. We'll have to see about that, but maybe. The next day, Isaac called Vivian and asked her to meet him at the park where they'd had their second date. It was a crisp fall afternoon, the trees ablaze with color, families enjoying what might be one of the last warm weekends before winter set in. She found him sitting on a bench overlooking the playground, watching Lily climb on the jungle gym with fierce determination. This feels familiar, Vivian said as she sat beside him, taking his hand automatically. Our first real date, he confirmed. I wanted to come back here for a reason. She gave him a curious look. Oh, and what reason is that? Because this is where I first realized I was in trouble, he said with a smile. You were pushing Lily on the swings and she was laughing so hard and you were laughing too, and I thought I could listen to those two laughs together for the rest of my life. Vivian's eyes softened. I remember that day, you bought us ice cream cones that melted all over our hands. Not my smoothest moment, he admitted. He took a deep breath. I talked to Lily about what you suggested, about us living together. And she's on board with two conditions. She keeps her own room and we consider a place with a yard for a swing set. Joy spread across Vivian's face. Those seem like reasonable terms. There's one more condition, Isaac said, his heart racing. Mine, not Lily's. Before she could ask, he slid off the bench onto one knee, pulling the small velvet box from his pocket. Vivian Reeves, I know this ring isn't as impressive as what you could buy yourself. I know our life isn't as glamorous as the one you've built. But I promise to love you completely, support your dreams, create a home with you, and build a future together one day at a time. He opened the box, revealing a modest diamond ring. Will you marry me? Tears filled her eyes as she looked from the ring to his face. Isaac. For a terrible moment, he thought she might refuse that the reality of marrying a construction worker with a small apartment and mountains of responsibility might be too far from the life she was accustomed to. Instead, she slid off the bench to kneel in front of him, taking his face in her hands. This ring is perfect because it's from you. Our life together is already more fulfilling than anything I built before. Yes, Isaac Fletcher, I will absolutely marry you. He slipped the ring onto her finger with hands that trembled slightly, then pulled her into a kiss that conveyed everything words couldn't express. Their moment was interrupted by Lily's excited shriek as she spotted them from the playground. She raced over, launching herself at them both and nearly toppling them over. Did you ask her? Did she say yes? She demanded. I did, and she did, Isaac confirmed, his arm around both of them now. Lily's face lit up. So we're going to be a real family. We already are, Vivian said, wiping away happy tears. The ring and the yard and everything else is just extra. 1 year later, Isaac stood in the kitchen of their new home, a comfortable 3-bedroom house with the promised yard and swing set, watching through the window, as Vivian pushed Lily on that very swing. Their laughter drifted through the open window, just as musical as it had been that day in the park. The past year had brought changes for all of them. Isaac had accepted Vivian's encouragement to return to school part-time, working toward finishing his engineering degree. Vivian had restructured her company to allow for more balanced work hours, installing a COO who handled day-to-day operations while she focused on strategic direction. And Lily had blossomed with 2 parents who adored her, excelling at school and developing a passion for both building things like her father and coding like her stepmother. Their wedding had been intimate, just close friends and family gathered in this very backyard, with Lily serving as flower girl and ring bearer combined. Vivian had worn a simple white dress, Isaac a new suit he'd proudly purchased himself, and they'd exchanged vows they'd written together. Now, as Isaac watched his wife and daughter playing in the late afternoon sunshine, he marveled at how life could change in an instant. One moment of courage on a downtown street corner had led to this, a family forged not from obligation or convenience, but from choice, respect, and love. The back door opened as Vivian and Lily came inside, cheeks flushed from the cool air. "Daddy, Vivian says we can have hot chocolate," Lily announced, already heading for the cupboard where they kept the cocoa. "With extra whipped cream?" he asked, sharing a smile with his wife. "Obviously," Vivian replied, wrapping her arms around his waist and resting her head against his chest. "Some traditions are sacred." As he held her close, feeling her heartbeat against his, Isaac reflected that this moment, this family, this love was worth every struggle, every doubt, every obstacle they'd overcome. Their worlds hadn't just collided, they'd merged to create something stronger and more beautiful than either could have imagined alone. And that was worth defending with everything he had.